UMD. Welcome to reading video lesson number 6. And today we'll be reading chapter 20 of The Stars Beneath Our Feet. I know Jasmine is always following along in her own copy. I think Tyrese and Jesus, I think you guys have them too, right? Let me know. I want to know if you guys are following along in the book as I read. All right. Make sure you stop and pause the video to answer the questions to someone near you, someone you're working online with. Jasmine and Keyshawn are always working with each other online. If you want to get in on that, wake up at 10:30 or so each day and get online with us because we're always on Teams working together. All right, chapter 19. Before we get started, today we're going to talk about change. And I think, we talked a lot about why we would read a sad book, especially in a sad time like this. And then it made me think, can sad or hard things that are happening in our lives or in the world, can they really change? Can people change? Or are sad and hard things always going to be like that? And I think that's a big question that we need to ask ourselves always about life. Like, do we think that bad things can change and become better? So we're going to talk about changing characters. Because in today's chapter, some of our main characters start to change a little bit. And I want you to really focus on that change. It's really important when we read. Authors almost always show us changes that characters make. And I think that's because it answers our big question. I do think sad and hard things can change. I think people can change. I know it, actually. So I know things can change for the better. Let's see today how Lolly and Big Rose might be changing. Also, I'll ask some questions about character motivation, which we've talked about on these lessons, why characters do what they do, and then connections, how we connect with our own life, or how we connect things that already happened in the book, and how fun it is to make those kind of connections. Just like before, I want you to fill in the blank when I pause. Make sure you say the word loud and proud. Chapter 19, here we go. The next Saturday morning, Vega and me ran over to the rec center on 134th to play some ball. Connection. I taught on 134th Street. My school was right there. So where they're playing is right next to the school I taught at for so many years in Harlem. Anyways, back to the text. Cool connection. I sometimes hated hooping with Vega because he always liked to check too hard. But when you checked him, he would start whining. I'm positive you can make a connection to that. Like a big baby. And when he lost, it was too much. He would act like everything in the world had depended on him owning you in that game. He always took it too good, serious. All right, I'm going to keep doing that. Be ready. So I had let him win today. After ball, while we were walking home, Vega started to ask me about Big Rose. It had been weeks since she had into my space and started looting my Legos. Looting means like taking or stealing. Just this week, we had both watched our towers explode in our faces. Connection. You remember what happened in the last chapter? Yep. Both Big Rose and then Lolly's towers fell down. We don't know how Lolly is going to react to that. Big Rose, we know, was pretty happy. She was like smirking at the end. This chapter is going to show us what Lolly does in response. Even though Blaze Tower had stood a little longer than her Freedom Tower, neither one of us had reached 10 feet high. I had probably won our contest because mine had stood a few minutes, longer. But hers had been taller than mine before the air vent blew it down. I couldn't tell if either one of us had won, really. We were both still in the city room. The mood between us was not as it had been. In fact, she had actually started to mutter things at me every now and then. Question. Turn and talk to someone. Pause the video. How is Big Rose changing? Pause. Let's come back together. Yeah. What did she start to do? Mutter things. If you don't know what the word mutter means, what do you think it must mean? Get an idea in your head right now as we keep reading. You're going to need this part of the text to answer a question in the assignment, so make sure you're paying good attention here. Not full, just words that I could barely hear. So she did speak. Do you have an idea what mutter means? Mutter means to talk, but usually just like a couple words or maybe even really low under your breath. So the question is, how is she changing? Think about the way she used to be. Answer that question in the assignment now or at the end of the reading. Back to the text. A mysterious, Vega said, all solemn. Solemn means sad. So he probably said it more like a mysterious mystery. We had traveled down to 130th Street and had started to cut over west across Harlem. Standing on the sidewalk was this dude in a navy blue suit and holding a leather bag. His suit even had a vest, but that was dark gray. He checked his phone and smiled at me and Vega. Hey now, he said. We nodded back. And then this black sports car zoomed up. There was a fine female driving. He gave her a kiss and they sped off together. I wondered where they were going. Sometimes I wonder why the author puts in little things like that. Like, it's not really that connected to the story. I always think authors are just trying to help us imagine the world or the setting around the character. Vega and me kept walking, and he dribbled my basketball between his legs and every few steps. Once the ball even bounced into the middle of the street. A big red swerved out of the way, though, and cursed at us before speeding off. There it is again. The author's describing the setting. Remember, S in story stands for good job. After Vega ran out and got my ball, I snatched it from him and shot him a grimy look. We strolled on to another block before he had something else to say. Why don't you kick her out? He asked me. Big Rose, I said. How am I going to kick her out of somewhere that don't even belong to me? They're your... And by bricks, he means? Good, Lagos. Ali wouldn't like that. It was him that sent her in there. I don't know why, but if I piss Ali off, he might not let me build in the room no more. Stop right there. Here's another question on your assignment today. What is Lolly's motivation for not kicking out Big Rose? Why do you think he's not going to kick her out? Or why is he not kicking her out right now? What did he just actually say? It's not because he says he likes her. It's not because he wants someone else in the room because he's lonely. What did he actually say right there? I could imagine Cynthia raising her hand and saying, because it says right there, he's worried to piss off Ali, the teacher. And then I could imagine Stephen saying, yeah, because he's the one who let her in. It's not his room. He doesn't own it. Yep, all that stuff came straight from the text. Good job. Back to the text. Vega rubs his forehead and watched the sun. It was beaming. One of the freaky warm days in late winter. Why is it so hot? He asked. We just got out of February. Yeah, I said, let's cross. We sprinted across and hopped over the median. On the other side, there was a bodega on the corner. It's like a corner store. With a crowd of older boys hanging out in front. My bad. I think he says it's covered up by the question. Sorry, everybody. My eyes, I think he said, searched the mob for enemies, but didn't find them. Two of the boys out front were selling. One of them sat on a fire hydrant spitting lyrics. If they bury me, no need to worry. I expect retaliation in a hurry. Do you guys know the word retaliation? It's up here. Retaliation means the act of harming someone because they harmed you. So it means like getting someone back. You know where these lyrics are from? Tupac. Remember Tupac came up in last chapter, I think? Him and Biggie had a feud and were rivals in the end. I think retaliation must refer to what happened between them. At least that's what Lolly's saying. Old school Tupac Shakur, I thought. Listening to that dude, Jermaine used to say that listening to Tupac was like listening in on the mind of every young black man in the ghetto. I didn't used to believe that. You think you'd ever join a gang? I asked my friend after we'd left those dudes behind. Me? And get shot? What good is that? Mommy would be so sad. Excuse me, but not my cousin Frito. I don't even like guns. Would you join? I like doing stuff my own way too much to join up. If you're in you gotta do what the crew said. And I don't do what other people say, unless it's mom, or daddy, or Yvonne. Connection. Have you ever thought you'd join something like that? We're talking about gangs or crews. Have you ever thought about it? What connections are you making? Vega laughed at me. Or your shrink, Mr. Ali, he said. Shrink is like a silly name for a therapist or counselor. With that face, he's more scary than Yvonne. Yo, I wish my mommy had a dope girlfriend that brought me gifts all the time. What? I asked. You wish your mom was gay? Vega laughed. I remembered something all of a sudden. Vega, I know what she's up to. My mommy? Nah, dummy, Big Rose. You think she's cutting up body parts? I know what she's... What is wrong with you, man? She is building an exact copy, a small Lego of St. Nick houses, where we live. Ooh, that's interesting. Are you picturing it? I don't know if you've ever seen the buildings in New York, but they're very tall. I know exactly where they're talking about, St. Nick houses. Some of my students live there. They're very, very tall buildings. Big Rose is building the entire neighborhood around there. That's pretty cool. His eyes grew wide. Yup, I went on. It's probably a map of where she buried the bodies, he said. Remember, they all think Rose is like scary or something, so I guess he imagines that she kills people and buries the bodies. I ignored this. She ain't done yet, but so far she has copied every little detail of the development and built it into her city. You mean your city, man, Vega said. They're still your blocks. Yvonne brings them for you, not that big head girl. I know it, but I gotta admit, I'm a little with her construction skills. She ain't no joke, and it's different having somebody else in there with me, even though she stays on the other side of the room working on her stuff. I kind of feel like we're working on something. Ooh. How is Lolly changing? Lolly is definitely changing a little bit. Go back and look carefully at that last paragraph. Make sure to use that in your answer. How is Lolly changing? It says it right there in the evidence. Excuse me, right there in the text. The evidence is right there. He is changing a little bit. So's Big Rose. Back to the text. We had been just about to tromp onto St. Nick's houses, but Vega froze on the sidewalk. I kept on and glanced behind him. I saw Concrete hovering in the courtyard. Concrete was an older guy that we met last time. He knew his brother. He knew Jermaine, remember? I think he's the one that gave them that present. A dozen cops had rolled up on Concrete, and he was trying to talk his way out of there. To avoid them. Vega got caught up with me. He was grinning like "You're in love with that ugly girl," he told me. He busted out laughing. I just realized. I didn't even like that, man, I said. You ain't got no sense. I don't even like that Frankenstein. She is I couldn't believe how clueless Vega could get. Who was he talking about? Yep, Big Rose. Connection. I'm making a connection. I have seen many kids, many of the students in my class call each other names like that. Especially when you're just friends with someone and someone makes fun of you for liking them and you say all kinds of mean things that you know aren't true. Do you think Lolly actually thinks Big Rose is a monster? Do we have evidence for that now? I agree. I don't think so. I think he's actually starting to respect her. She's very good at building things. He's just trying to show off kind of because I think he's embarrassed. Connection though, definitely. I see kids do that all the time. Back to the text. I couldn't believe how clueless Vega could get. Wait, he said. Ain't that your other girlfriend, Sunny? And April E? I looked where he was pointing and saw two girls hiding between a big tree on one of the grassy parts of St. Nick. It was hard to tell who they was hiding from, but it wasn't me and Vega. They hadn't seen us yet. Before we could yell at them, they both ran off in the other and disappeared around the corner. You see that? Vega said. After we went out over there and where they had been hiding, we didn't uncover there. But Vega found an old box sitting upside down, about 20 feet away. The box was actually, moving. It slid across the grass from the left to the right and then back to the left. It was hard to tell if the wind had been moving it or if it had been moving by itself. Wait, what? What just happened? Yeah, the box is moving. That's a good time to visualize. When something weird happens that makes you go, what? Makes you go, what? Definitely visualize it. So there's a box moving across the grass. What in the world? Vega punted the cardboard box. That means I kicked it, right? A skinny red chicken flapped out from under it. A what? A chicken. The chicken flipped around, pecked at us, and off when Vega tried to grab it. The angry red bird was too fast and ducked some bushes beside building 9,400. We gave up and headed toward our building's lobby. In the elevator up, both of us were quiet, trying to figure out what we had just seen. Finally, just before we got off the 7th floor, Vega said, I guess those girls weren't joking about being... He busted out laughing again before we dipped inside my crib for some fruit pops and video games. A chicken? Walking around New York City? Kind of weird. Keep that in your brain because you're going to be able to make connections to it another time. Okay, great. Let's go to our assignment now. That's chapter 19. So remember, we're always thinking about story when we read a fiction text. We talked about where this happened in the setting. Lolly and Vega were the main characters. Of course, we know Germaine's death is kind of like the big problem in the whole book, but right now these past few chapters have really been about a problem with Big Rose. And in this chapter, we saw Lolly and Big Rose kind of change. So I want you to be thinking about the response then to the problem, because we're starting to learn about Lolly's response to these problems. What will he do about Big Rose now? Keep that in your brain as we read the next chapter, and over the week as you're thinking about chapter 19, what do you think might happen in chapter 20? We're going to learn more about what he does, his response. Now, today when you write, please make sure you're writing in race. People are getting a little bit better about typing their answers with race. Now I'm going to quiz you. Get ready. Why do we write using race? Remember this little video from last time? Yes, because it helps us organize our writing. And why do we make sure we always cite evidence? Meaning we say the text says, and then we actually use quotations or lines straight from the text. Why do we do that? Because of the P. For proof. For proof that our answers are actually true. We're not just making them up in our head. Go back to the text. Take it and use it in your answer. Remember, your answer should have at least 3 complete sentences. I'm still not seeing everybody writing 3 complete sentences. That means a capital letter, a sentence, and a period at the end. That's 1 complete sentence. And you need at least 3 to do race well. Here's someone who did race well this week. This is Jasmine's work. Now, there are some things to fix up. It's not perfect, but I want you to see how she really used race. And she wasn't always doing that. So Jasmine's made a lot of progress. She's working super hard, and she's doing so much better. It's awesome. Here we go. Notice she has all 3 important things too. Organization, proof, the evidence from the text, and then she's got complete sentences. Listen. Lolly is motivation for doing mean things. I think she meant Lolly's motivation. Let's find out. Lolly's motivation for doing mean things is because he called Big Rose names and also pranked his dad's girlfriend. Because if he knew that the rock won't disappear, it felt good to be mean and evil to Big Rose. So I know, there's some things that she could fix up a little bit about her sentence, but I understand what she means because it's very organized. I understand what she's trying to tell me is that Lolly's motivation for doing mean things, and then she lists some of the mean things. I love those details. He pranked the dad's girlfriend. He's calling Big Rose names. Those are mean things. But the answer here about why, his motivation, is because she says it feels good to be mean and evil. And then I love how she connected it to the rock. He knows he has that rock, which is really a symbol of the sadness that he feels for Jermaine's death. He knows that that rock is not going to go away, so he tries to find things that make him feel better. He feels better when he's mean, and she knows that it has some connection to the fact that he has that rock, or it feels like he has the rock. And then look here, she uses evidence straight from the text. She says, the text says that it made me feel different. That's proof. It makes him feel different, not as sad in a moment when he's mean. And then she used her sentence. She explained what it means to her. That shows that he don't want Big Rose to win. He doesn't want her to win the contest, right? He wants to be mean to her in every way he can. Great job, Jasmine. You're really showing progress using your race. I'm really proud of you. All right, today, as you do your work, remember there's 5 points for each race answer, 1 point for each letter, 1 point for at least 3 complete sentences, capital letters, periods at the end. All right, everybody, I love you, and I'm really excited to read what you're thinking about these characters changing. Bye.